Welcome to Movies and Noah. My name is Dabood, and welcome to my Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes spoiler review. So yes, there are indeed spoilers. So if you have not seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I highly suggest that you go see the film out in theaters on the biggest screen possible. So save this video, watch the film first, and then see the video after you see the film. But if you have seen the film, what a wonderful day! Man, I'm just so thrilled that this film was just absolutely amazing. It's an adventurous film. It honors the Caesar trilogy, and whatever they're doing, they're going in the right direction, and I just need more of that. So we're going to break that down in this video here for you. And we're going to break that down in multiple categories today. And those categories being action, plot, comedy, suspense, lessons, and horror. These are the categories I like to rate my movies on, so I'm going to break Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes down by those categories. So, before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you do, and also hit the like button. For a quick recap, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes follows a young ape named Noah, which we follow after his clan is burned down by a nearby violent kingdom led by Proximus Caesar. Noah goes on a vengeful mission to avenge his father's death, and to retrieve his tribe and bring them peace. He's still a young ape and barely into adulthood as an ape, but he goes on this big adventure, meets a couple of apes, learns these new ideas of the original Caesar, and he meets a couple of humans along the way and encounters some deadly foes. He eventually arrives in the kingdom and sees way more than he ever should have, and, well, leads his people to peace. Let's break down Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes with our first category today, which is action. And man, there is a lot of action in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And whenever there is action, it really knocks out of the park. A lot of the film is a lot of development and character arcs, and that's very understandable considering that these are a new batch of characters 300 years after the life of Caesar, which we saw back in War of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. So when there is action in this film, it really accelerates. There's the third act of the film really is something to be seen, and at times it may be a little bit of like a whirlwind of different actions, but it really makes sense. And when Noah finally gets his moment to be a leader and to finally rise up and protect his clan, he does that. And through the direction and cinematography, they really build the suspense and they really create a great action sequence, especially the last action sequence with Proximus Caesar. And then when you have the bunker and then you have the village, and the action in this film is fantastic, and I will not doubt if it's going to be on my top list this year for best action films, because it really delivers on the action right from the get-go when the village is burned down, from encountering these deadly foes and the other deadly gorillas, and eventually to meeting Proximus Caesar, who himself is a dangerous individual and has a lot of action in him. And that also reminds me of all this journey we go through. This is all CGI and all visual effects. And I would like to make this time to break down all this visual effects and really commend the visual effects for this film, because it is the best in the franchise. It is fantastic. It is spectacular. Because this film is the most adventure-based Planet of the Apes film, which I'm kind of surprised this is the most adventure-based film, considering this is already the 10th film in the franchise. This really portrayed that jungle setting, the worn-down buildings, and then the apes, of course, they're on always a different level, and the CGI and the motion capture captures the emotions perfectly, creating for great action. The next category we're going to break down is plot, and oh boy, does this film have some plot. And the most notable plot piece in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is Noah's character arc, and the character arc he goes through is absolutely fantastic just for one single film. Noah starts off as a young, teenage, vulnerable ape, still learning the ways of his clan, slash tribe, but he's then forced to grow up and become a leader because his clan is kidnapped. And what's the reasonable thing to do when your father dies and your mother and all your friends are kidnapped? Is to go avenge your father's death and bring peace to your tribe. And that's exactly what he does, but he has still so much to learn, and he does learn along the way. And the character arc he goes through to learning, to trusting, to adapting to human situations and learning their ways, learning the ways of Caesar, most importantly. And then finally meeting Proximus Caesar and saying, this is no way to live. This is oppression. And he stands up and he leads the apes to peace and freedom, which you see by the end of the film. And we see him more as a leader towards the end of the film. I can't wait to see his arc evolve further, but it's already starting to be a rich and deep arc that's very emotional and it's very heartfelt. Then you have the character arc of Raka, who does die eventually halfway through the film, but his information that he teaches Noah is very useful. He also serves as a guide to the audience about what this world is like. Even though he's only one of a kind ape that really knows Caesar's legacy, he's still an interesting path to telling Caesar's legacy. Instead of just telling it by stories, he has books and he has ideas and theories of what Caesar did. And it's very interesting how Caesar has such a big impact on the film because, yes, you have Rocca's side, which is the most close to Caesar and his actual ideologies. But then you have Proximus Caesar, who adapts his lessons and changes it for his own use, which we're going to talk about later when we talk about the category of lessons. Rocca's character arc, I think, is very good, and I don't think that he really died. Towards the end of the film, after the credits all roll, there's some grumblings and mumblings of a character that sounds exactly like Rocca. So I don't think he actually died in that river. But who knows? Maybe I might have to wait for the next film. And then, of course, you have Proximus Caesar's storyline and character arc, which he didn't have a lot to do in this film, but he still had a great impact on the film. His just urge to get to that bunker, and whenever he was on screen, he had a large presence, and that's all that matters. Would I have liked to see him be a better villain? Yes. I think his presence was bigger than his screen time because his power of all his outsourcing troops going to destroy these clans, and then you finally see his kingdom, it contradicts it because you don't see him be a leader full time, except the "what a wonderful day," that is the only time that he really truly gets to shine as a leader, especially towards the end of the film until he eventually dies. Do I feel bad for him? Yeah, I would have liked to see him continue, especially Kevin Durand and him performing Proximus Caesar. But I guess it's for the better good of Noah's character arc, which I'd like to see adapt. Because Noah now has a new conflict in the form of humans. Not exactly, but that's what we're going to get into now. We have also the human character arc, which played a slightly bigger role than I thought it was going to be. But we do have one human character in this film that has a large presence in the film, and that's Nova / May. Her character helps us really understand what our humans are really going through at this time and the progression at what they're trying to achieve at to become somewhat successful and not really die out. And I want to see their kind of rivalry still play out because I think there's a lot more to develop, especially when the planet is finally now completely dominated by apes. Also, do you know what I thought about the plot? It sounded a lot like Dune. You want to hear this? Let's hear this. They're the son of a master or a clan. They live in a village or a town that's attacked by outside forces, and those outside forces kill their father, leaving the mother and the son on their own. The son has to go on an adventure to bring peace. He learns different ways of life, and he meets a female character throughout the way. He meets the emperor along the way. He leads a rebellion. These films seemed a little bit too dissimilar because when I walked out of it, I was like, this was a very, very good film. But I feel like I've seen this film before. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes advances its plot through its lessons, which we're going to get eventually. But for the next category, we have comedy. And there's not a lot of comedy in the film. I think the biggest comedy in the film is we get to see apes swear for the first time, and that's always fun to see. The next category we have is lessons, and oh my god, this movie has lessons. I walked out of here, I thought this was going to be a very drama-centric film, and it is, but it also explores upon a lot of lessons. Some lessons being history adapts with time, so it's twisting the words of Caesar for Proximus Caesar's use. And then you also have the concept of evolution that Proximus Caesar talks about, of natural selection, of that the species that has an advantage always wins and adapts. Also, on Noah's side of his character arc, I already talked about this, but another lesson is you get to see him growing up, becoming a leader, being a leader in times of great struggle, standing up to bad sources. This is like an onion that has so many layers, and I'm very surprised by this film and its lessons. I think it really taught me something about human quality and human behavior and human oppression, because sometimes Planet of the Apes are the most human films I have ever seen. So the lessons that I've learned from here is just great. And I love lessons in films, and this is great because if I can't learn anything from a film, what's the point of watching a film? And that really made my day when watching this film, that I got to really learn something from it. And I think that really enhanced the film by a lot of notches. The last two categories are suspense and horror, which I usually like to talk about together. Suspense in the film is very great. You don't know what's really going to happen. You don't know what risks they're going to take. Again, this is the start of a new trilogy, so you don't know if they're going to kill off all the characters, if they're going to have a mass extinction. Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen in the film. So you just never know, and they really keep up the suspense. There are different tidbits, different action sequences, different encounters, and it always lifts up my spirit. And my adrenaline is running a lot through this film because I really did not know what to expect. This was not a predictable film. And then horror in this film, there's little to no horror, but sometimes, seeing dead animals can get some people, especially PETA. They're not going to like this film very much. And then you have just some general action that might seem a little violent at times. All right, that was all the categories that we have to break down. Now let's rank them based on a 0 to 5 scale. Action, I give a 3 in the film. Plot, I give 4.5. Comedy, I give 0.5. Lessons, I give 4. Suspense, I give 3. And horror, I give 0.5. Overall, for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I have to give this film, out of 5, I would give it a 4.3. This film is fantastic. It has so many different elements. It's such an adventurous film, which really conflicted from the other films that are more dramatic based and more rivalry based, and also between the humans. But this one was mostly based on the apes, and it really stuck to their stories that they had to tell and their tensions. And it's just such an interesting film that I would love to see play out. And there's so many teases of humans starting to advance a little bit more and starting to catch up to apes again. And then you have also teases of space, and that's the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life, the moon. And it's a lot of different little stuff, that tidbits that really excite me for what's to come in this franchise, because they are really cooking something special right here. They're going in the right direction, and I can't wait to see what they have next. Well, that was all for Movies in All. I'm Dabood, and thank you for watching my Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes review. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you do a like button. Hasta la vista.